I'm so happy to be here today to share with you some of the things I know and have learned and am still learning along the way. Now, hypnotherapy is not psychotherapy. That's the first caveat. I work with subconscious minds, which means that I will not ask the question why. I just need to know what is not working and what would you like to work. So I cut to the chase. It really is called psychotherapy bypass. And as a health educator for many years, my work is to help people make healthier choices in their lifestyle so that they can be healthier. You know that they say 75% of your health status is a result of your behavior. I say 95% of your health choices is a result of your behavior. Whether you say you're going to have a good day or you're going to have a bad day, you're right. I have learned as a health educator that no matter what knowledge you have, you can maybe change your attitude about something. And changing your attitude is no guarantee that you will change your choices in action. And I know after all these years as a health educator and a researcher, we know the knowledge, attitude, behavior model, and we're still doing it, and we know it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It may be helpful in changing your attitude about something, but to really change behavior, you have to change how you feel about something. You know, you go out and buy a car, you know, the salesman will come and I already know what I want, you know. They'll give me all these features and whatnot, and they'll talk all this stuff. And I take a look at him, I say, I don't like you. I'm going to walk over there to Leon because I like him. Leon, can you sell me that red car over there? I don't care because... So, what is it about Leon that makes me want to buy a car from him? It's because there is something about the way he relates to me, the words he says to me, and also the words he doesn't say to me. Something about Leon makes me feel safe and make me feel comfortable. And most of us don't sit down and go down the checklist. He made this criteria, therefore I'm going to buy a car from him. Most of our processing is already done at your reptilian brain level, at your emotional level, and you already made an emotional connection. That's what works. So when clients come to my office, I ask them what they want, okay? And they say, oh, I want to be happy. So what does that mean? We all know that. Most people are very inarticulate about how they feel. If I ask anyone here now, give me 3 words or phrases that clearly characterizes your emotional state at the moment. And I've worked in environments where there are people with PhDs and ABCs and the whole alphabet after their names, and they can't do that. They are stumped. So what is it about the words we say that help us make changes? So today I want to share with you some of the things. Hypnotherapy is a process where a trained professional engages the client in a state of hypnotic trance and help the client achieve changes emotionally that you can't do when you are in beta consciousness. So I'll give you a quick hypnosis 101. Hypnosis is a state where your brain becomes so bored that it slows down. Most of us currently are engaging most of the time in what I call beta consciousness, which means if I strap you to an EEG machine, your brain will register about 14 to 32 cycles per second. That's how it's buzzing around. That's why when you can't sleep at night, the more you try to sleep, the more awake you stay, because you keep engaging your cognitive brain and it spins faster and faster and sleep will never come. However, if you come to listen to a boring Kweethai lecture, it will put you right to sleep, just like that. So if you're bored about something, your brain slows down to a bandwidth of 7 to 14 cycles per second. That's what we call alpha consciousness. Or it's that state just before you wake up in the morning. It's like this morning trying to wake Steve up. He said, 2 more minutes. two more minutes. He's in his alpha state. And it's a very pleasant dream state, and he didn't want to be disturbed. I said, we gotta go. Right? And if I slow you down further, we'll get into the next deep trance state. It'll slow you down between 4 to 7 cycles per second, and we call the theta state. Many hypnotherapists believe that you can only do great transformation work in a very deep state of trance. But I have been doing this for the last 12 years, and I know depth of trance has nothing to do with it. It's how you use your words. So this whole business here is very linguistic. It is important to note that how you use your words is going to get what you want. When I was a professor, a student came to me. We have these short answer tests, and let's say the correct answer was not do something, and they write down the do something piece, and they come to me and ask me for partial credit. So I said, really? How interesting. I said, do you know what's the difference between being struck by lightning and being struck by a lightning bug? Can I give you partial credit? So the right words will get you the right results. You are what you say you are. No matter what shape or size, the mirror is our worst enemy. You stand in front of it. Some people will say, oh, good morning, gorgeous. You and I are going to have a great day today. And some people will say, ew, I hate my hair. I'm too fat. My ankles are swollen today. What a horrible thing. And oh, God, one gray hair. Where's Miss Clairol today? So how we say who we are will quickly set the tone for what our day is going to be like. Hypnotherapy is a lot about talking. I recently, last year, we launched our international hypnotherapy training school in Malaysia. And I realized that while I was working with my students, I had the students, a couple students actually reacted and regressed into an emotional state. And I realized that when this young man in his 20s was talking to me as a student in my class, he's speaking English. The class was being taught in English. Now suddenly he's regressed to 6 years old. He did not speak English when he was 6 years old. So now I'm being challenged to suddenly have to speak in a Chinese dialect that I'm not taught to speak. So I have to do it in Mandarin. And good thing I have a language teacher in the class, so I'm now talking to him in my broken Mandarin and looking for words to help out from someone in the audience. The way we say the words are very important. But there's another piece, maybe another time, I'll teach you how to bypass words when you don't have the words. Is when you look at and listen for the energy of the nonverbal communication. That's the piece I do in energy medicine. But in that instant, I had bits of language skills, I had bits of words, and so we can move on with that. A lot of times we are talking to the subconscious. Hypnotherapy is teaching. This is a baseball bat I have in my office. And The difference, I know my clients have to be very clear that they're following instructions, because sometimes I say, which part of no don't you understand? I'm pointing at my client, the teacher, with a baseball bat. So there are some things I don't suggest that you all go out and buy a baseball bat, but hypnotherapy is teaching. I tell clients, I'm not so much your therapist as I am your private instructor. I'm going to teach you skills to talk. I'm teaching you skills to make better choices for yourself. Hypnotherapy is coaching and training. So the getting over the trauma piece is really quite quick if you do it in trance. It's really fast. But what is really effective? So what do you do when you get out of your funk? Okay, you come in, I can put you in trance and take you through the machine and scrub your soul. Now you're clean, but you don't know how to navigate the world. So I send you out clean and you're going to do the same old, you might as well buy a season pass. Because I know it's a matter of time you're going to show up again, right? So you have to train them, you have to coach them, and you have to supervise their behavior. So I really haven't changed a whole lot leaving the university. This is now my universe-city because I'm actually doing more intense teaching one-on-one. Now this is the 5-day course that I go through. I use the language of change to go through these processes. The first step is self-assessment, and then I teach them the language of health, of self-healing. Then I teach them how, if they are therapists, I see many therapists as my clients. So when a therapist comes to me as my client, I say, you're going to get a twofer. You're going to clean up your own poop, and I'm going to teach you how to help your client clean up their own poop. So you get a twofer, and if you want CEs, we can talk about that for your therapy session. All right. Then a very important piece is when we teach the skill, we have to give the student an opportunity to practice. That's why it's always a practice. And if you keep practicing the same old wrong thing, what happens? You're going to be an expert in doing the wrong thing. So unsupervised practicum is quite useless. The biggest piece is to have the student practice in front of you, and then you give feedback and allow questions so you know, am I doing this thing right? I was a cooking instructor for many years, and I tell the students, don't worry about the recipe, watch my hands. Recipes are written for perfect kitchens. Do you have a perfect kitchen at home? Right? If you do, you can take over the class. But my job here is to teach you, and I would deliberately make some mistakes while I'm doing a cooking demonstration. My job is to teach you how to fix your challenges. And then, very important for reflection, what did you learn from this? Turn to the person next to you and tell the person what are 3 things you want to know about him or her. Introduce yourself. Tell your friend across the table beside you. Tell them who you are. What do you want them to know about you? Say, hello, my name is. What do you want the other person to know about you? Who wants to share? Yes, what did you learn about him?
Well, I learned Scott is from New York. He likes to come to Texas. Came to Texas as fast as he could because of the cold weather. And he has 2 children and a stepchild.
Okay. All right, good. Another pair? You already know who your partner is. But how about this pair? What did you learn about your partner?
I've known him for like how many years?
Oh,
So,
Okay. Is there another pair? Okay.
this young lady, which I didn't, anyway, this young lady is an LMFT in private practice, and her specialty is infidelity.
Okay. So in the 3 pairs we went around, what happened? You collected data. Okay. Now I want to come back to Mr. Woods, Dr. Woods. Close your eyes and tell me what you like about Scott, right?
he was engaging, he was smiling as he spoke, and I liked his voice.
Okay. On the liking him factor from 0 to 10, give a number. How much do you like him?
10.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Right. See, you just made his day.
I didn't have anything negative to draw on, so it was all positive.
Good. How about you? What do you like about her?
I like her hair,
You like her hair. She likes her hair. Okay.
and she's very personable.
Mm-hmm.
Very,
So she's smiling as she's describing her. So it was a positive experience. What we are saying here is that data is data, but when you're engaging on the surface and we're chatting about things on the surface, you're actually having this emotional connection. And it could be nice, it could be not nice. So in the self-assessment, the first thing I say to the client, they come in, they want to feel better. And most people don't have the words to explain how they feel. And certainly we don't want to feed them the words because that would not be the right thing to do. So I asked them, how would you know at the end of the session that this is a successful session? How would you know that? So I have to give them some sense of measure. So that, how do you know if you're happier? Don't expect me to make you 100% happier because I'm not a pill. You know those little pills that make people happy? I'm not that. How would you know that leaving the room today, having engaged time with me, that you're feeling a little bit better? Would 10% better do it for you? Or would 9.5% do it for you? How would you know? So a lot of times I ask them to give a score, like I say, your liking him factor 0 to 10, and suddenly he's been put on the spot to evaluate. And he says, well, I don't have anything bad to say about him, and actually think about it, I kind of like him, right? He's pleasant, and there's nothing wrong with giving him a 10. So the client comes, I want them to deal with an emotional health score, and I define what emotional health is. I have 8 dimensions of health, but I'm pulling out one. A good emotional health status is when you can say what you want to say to the person you want to say it to at the time you need to say it to, and you say it freely and naturally with no fear. That's a big, tall order. So having given them a parameter to describe how they feel, they usually can give me a score. So they say, well, a 2, a 5. If they give me a 10, I say, you're either lying or you're wasting my time. Thank you very much. Your session is over. I keep the money. There's no refund. It's prepayment in my sessions. Right? So then I said, do it again. You're not a 10. Right? So they'll come up with something really quite close to how they feel. So I said, what does a 7 feel like? Or what does a 4 feel like? So I said, let's work in small chunks. When we get to 10% better, what does it feel like? If right now your biggest issue is this, right? what would make you feel just a little bit better?
Is that the term you use? Is how do you, on what scale of?
I have a 6-page intake contract for which they have the right. What is your main concern and what are you willing to give up to address this concern? And then we negotiate. There's a lot of mediation. I help people mediate intrapersonally and then interpersonally. So there's a lot of leading up to. And then they say, well, I feel really rotten today. I said, what does rotten feel like? What does it smell like? What does it look like? If you touch it, is it rough or smooth? And what temperature is it? I help them put characteristics to something so intangible that we are not very well schooled in expressing how we feel, right? So I remember one time when my brother had died and I came back to grad school after the funeral and somebody asked me, how do you feel today? And I look at them, I said, really? How much time have you got? Do you really want to know? And of course, one of my doctoral classmates, he was specializing in counseling. So he came and he was very kind and he took my hand and he held it warmly with 2 hands and he looked into my eyes and he said, Kweethai, how are you? And I said, it sucks. I didn't know how to use the word suck then until my children got older. I said, it feels really horrible. And then he said, do you have time? Let's sit down. And he was very kind, so I sat down. And he says, well, it must be tough. I said, you have no idea. I said, let me tell you what it feels like. I know you're a guy and you've never been through labor. It feels like somebody has this enormous, gigantic screw that is stuck into your hip and they keep turning and it doesn't stop. And sometimes it feels so bad that even my heart hurts so badly it just wants to break apart. That's what it feels like. After that, I said, oh, I feel better already. Because I finally put words to something so painful I could not describe. And suddenly I say, hey, thank you. Thank you for making me articulate how I feel. Even though you didn't solve my problem, my brother is still as dead as 2 minutes ago. But my pain now has voice. So the language of change is about giving voice to something inside that we don't know how to give voice. Then I ask them, if you can change one thing in your life right this moment to help you feel just a little bit better, what would it be? So in the language, I help them distill from something intangible and abstract and esoteric that you can't describe. We give it physical form. It's all physics. In a gaseous state, we slow down the vibrations of the molecules. We turn it into something concrete and solid that you can put in your hand. If you can put it in your hand, you can give it to me and I can put it down on the floor for you. And you can look at it or you can walk away from it. So it's about helping the client first tell the story of where she's at right now. I don't need to go back 5 generations and hear 1,001 reasons why you hate your mother. All I need to know that you and your mother don't get along now and you like to get along better. I say, what's the choice? You and your mother don't get along right now. Do you want to get along with her? Is it yes or is it no? I'll come to the choices in a bit. Now, the bad news is I can't change what happened to you in the past. I work with several clients who were victims of incest, and how horrible is that, right? Well, I can't change the fact that your father sexually abused you, but I can help you stop the suffering now. You don't have to relive it for the rest of your life. Many people spend an entire lifetime lamenting over one bad thing that happened to them. And they wasted their whole life. And what a shame. And our job is to help them stop suffering. People ask me what I do. I say I help people stop suffering and live happier lives. So many people think it's just words. You may not be able to say it, see it. It says, what we say to dogs, okay, Ginger, I've had it. You stay out of the garbage. Understand, Ginger? Stay out of the garbage or else. And what did the dog hear? Blah, 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 Ginger, blah, 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 Ginger, blah, 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 Ginger. Okay. We've heard this, sticks and stones may break my bones, and word cannot hurt me. I think that is the biggest lie. That is absolutely the biggest lie. Words never harm me. I think that one of the biggest things I work with in my office is to teach the client how to own her own lie. I'm using the female pronoun here to embrace the male because the word male is in the word female and the word he is in the word she. So I'm just being inclusive, right? So we grow up with many horrible words. As a child, I said the word human and the word being. When you're born, you're just a being. You're a spirit. You're perfect. And then human beings, the grown-ups come into your life and they mess it up. They mess it up by the time you're 2 years old and they tell you you can't pee in your diapers anymore. You can't pee anywhere you want anymore. It's a lie. It's a biological lie. Of course you can pee wherever you want. It's just not socially appropriate. Then you go to school and the teachers tell you the next lie. You can only go if you have permission, and you can only go where it says boys or it says girls. That's another lie, right? It's a physical lie. And then more people tell you more things and words. And if we hear it often enough, then it gets embedded in our subconscious and it becomes our truth. So words, I made some slides here, I'll quickly run through. Words that heal. How many of you heard of this Japanese scientist, Matsuro Emoto, who did experiments on water crystals? He has jars of water and he taped nasty words to it. He taped good words to it, and then he took the water and looked at it under the electron microscope. The water in the jar with loving words have perfectly formed crystals. The water with the nasty words have distorted crystals. The experiments went on to rice. He put similar, the rice in different jars made from the same pot, and he did the same thing. And the jars of rice with nasty words on the label, they rotted faster. So if you read the book, he recently passed away, maybe this last year or a year ago. If you read his works, you will see that the power of words can change our lives. This is one of the cards from Louise Hay's stack of affirmations. And most clients I see in my office, if we bottom line the single reason why they're seeking help is the constant fear of feeling not good enough. If I can help a client feel that she or he is good enough, we know we've done a good job. People don't like change and people hate choices. Can you imagine that 81% of people ask the question, would you rather work for change or just complain? And the response, do I have to pick? Change is very scary for a lot of people. So, when I talk about the language of change, I want you to recognize that an idea comes into our head. It's distilling, it's coming down to our brain, and Our thoughts. We think good thoughts. We say good words. We do good deeds. We do them over and over. It becomes a habit. Our habit becomes our character, and our character determines our destiny. Right? Think about that. You think bad thoughts, you do bad deeds, you say bad words, you do bad things over and over again. People will label you to be the thief, the cheat, the whatever, and then you are going to spiral down into a path of negative destiny. And it is really as simple as changing the word. And the difference is as big as being struck by lightning or being struck by a lightning bug. Ever heard that song? Smile though your heart is aching. It's full of rubbish, isn't it? It is rubbish. I had a client who her entire life, she was in her 60s, she was a jazz singer, and she finally got the gig of her life. And her mother did not show up to the gig. It's not because she couldn't get there, because a week prior, the mother, who was in her late 80s, had hired a limousine to drive her to the high school to watch her grandson play football. So this woman has means, but she did not show for my client's biggest gig of her life. So when I got to talk to her the next week, I said, well, what do you think? How do you feel? Oh, it's fine. And I said, boy, you're the biggest liar today. You get the poster today. I said, it's not fine. It is not fine. So tell me how it is not fine, because you tell the truth in my office or you get the baseball bat. Tell the truth. So it came out, and for the first time, she was able to match her heart to her face. We don't have to smile if we don't feel like smiling. And yet, we are brought up to be prostitutes. I recently read David Kessler's book, and I like his line, that we are training our children to be prostitutes. Because why? They have to have good behavior to get a smile from you and a hug from you. Bad boy Tommy didn't make your bed. Good boy Tommy, you made a bed. Hug, hug. So we've been taught that we have nobody's permission to be who we are. We have to smile even though our heart is breaking. Part of the process I work with clients is you have to own your truth. That's a step one. You have to own your own poop before you can clean up your own poop. If you don't own the problem, you can't disown the problem. So that is a very big piece in helping the client come forward and say, yeah, I was lying to myself. Boy, I was really disappointed, hurt, angry that my mother would do that for my nephew, but she wouldn't come. I waited 60 years to perform with this group, and she's not there. How awful is it? Be sure you taste your words before you spit them out. We all understand that we are nice people and we don't go around scolding people and saying horrible things to people. That's fine. But most of us are very nasty to ourselves. I was so stupid. You know, you make a mistake. I recently read Brené Brown. How many read Brené Brown's books? Yeah. She's a researcher from Houston who studies shame and vulnerability. Nice books to read. And she said the difference between shame and guilt is when you say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Shame is when you say, I'm sorry, I am the mistake. So in the first line of words, there is a chance for recourse. I'm sorry I made a mistake. Tell me how I can make it up to you. In the second, when you say the words to condemn yourself, there is no redemption. I'm sorry, I am the mistake. Oh, I'm such a horrible person. Oh, I'm so stupid to have done that. You know how many times, how many of us are guilty of beating ourselves up? All right, if your hand is not up, you're a liar. If you live long enough, you will. I promise you that. Okay, so how is it that people don't speak the truth? So sometimes people say to my clients, you actually go in that office and pay her all this money, she beats you with a baseball bat and calls you a liar, and they go, uh-huh, uh-huh. And we don't tell the truth because we're scared. And that's what David Kessler said, because kids, we are raising our kids to be prostitutes. We are teaching them how to lie, because when they tell us the truth, what do? We punish them. All right? Anybody with 2 gray cells, you beat me twice. When I tell you the truth the third time, I'm going to be the best liar in town. And so we learn to lie day after day after day. And after a while, when we get to be about 45 years old, you'll be an expert liar. How are you feeling today? My brother just died. What do you think? What do you want to hear? I'm going to be okay. But we don't feel comfortable just standing there and say, well, it really is horrible. I've just lost my brother and my best friend. I don't know how to explain how painful this is. Maybe you can help me. Give me a few Gestalt sentences and I'll finish the stem for you. And that's helpful, right? Fear of what we've learned in the past, therefore you don't want to engage in the future. When I told my mom I broke the bowl, what did my mom do? You know, she locked me in a closet and didn't give me food and water for 2 days. You think I'm going to tell the truth again? I must be an idiot. Fear disconnects us from the truth, from peace of mind, from being able to be with ourselves, from having the freedom to be who we are, and fear stops us from loving. Fear stops us from making real connections with intimate relationships. If I tell you all about me, you may no longer love me, so I'm not going to share anything about my past. I'm not going to tell you where I come from, because you may not like Chinese people who grew up in Malaysia. Right? So we are scared a lot. But the most dangerous lies are lies that we tell ourselves. We tell ourselves, oh, I can't do this. I'm not good enough. I can't take that job. And how many of us have worked with clients who self-sabotage? And they're just about to get the job of their dreams, and they're driving to the interview and they sabotage themselves. Most accidents we get ourselves into are self-imposed. I know it's a very hard truth for most people to accept. We have accidents. What are accidents called? In health statistics, health accidents are called unintentional injuries, which means we're not living mindfully for the moment. I'm doing 5 things. You know, I'm talking to the phone and trying to cook and trying to help my kid with the homework, blah, 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 and suddenly there's a kitchen fire. Hello, who said it? So when we're living unintentionally, we cause accidents. Clients come to me because they feel unsafe and unloved and invisible. So I kind of summarize, you know, most of the clients I've seen in the last 12 years of full-time practice, they come to me because they're scared. Clients from, the youngest client I've seen is 7. The oldest client I've seen is 76. Same thing. In hypnosis, When I work with a client, it doesn't matter who you are. I'm really working in the bandwidth of age 3 to 10. They may come in the size of a 64-year-old man, or they may come in the size of a 7-year-old person. The 7-year-old person will actually progress rather than regress. The 76-year-old person will regress to being 6 years old. It is in that time frame because we are taught how to be scared when we are children. And it doesn't matter how old you are, how smart you are, when you feel fear, fear is fear, no matter what you call it. And it manifests itself in many different ways. Fear has many faces. Now, today I'm talking about the language of change, and you can look at something and say, the glass is half empty, or the cup is half full. Or I can say, it's the wrong size cup. So fear can say, it can stand for forget everything and run, or it can say forget everything and rise. You can look at it both ways. Some people say, well, I can't be successful because my father beat me. And some people will say, I am so successful today because my father beat me. Two choices. So the most important part of the language of change is to help the client to change from self-lying, self-betraying behaviors to telling the truth no matter what, and eliminating that fear and make room for self-love. And the boy says, please don't feel bad, it's not you, it's me. I just am not attracted to ugly women. Excuse me. As a process I teach my clients called radical honesty, and I'll share some of the tenets with you, what radical honesty means. Now, there is a time and place to be totally honest with people. That's also, I don't believe in lying. I do believe that there is decorum. Right? You just don't walk in a room and say, ew, why did you wear that dress today? It's horrible on you. Is that necessary? So we have to learn how to be discerning. When is the right time, when is not the right time. But when you know that you have not told the truth when you should have, then it was the wrong time. Okay. Secret to staying young is to live honestly, eat slowly, and lie about your age. And this one says, what do you mean all my facts are wrong? I copied everything straight out of the internet. And the frog says, let's be honest, I'm not a prince, but if you kiss me, I'll feel good about myself. One of my favorite writers, what lies behind us and what lies before us are small matters to what lies within us. They're all words, aren't they? Big difference. And I like this one. If you tell the truth, it becomes a part of your past. But if you lie, it becomes a part of your future. So we redesign our destiny. There are 4 things I want to leave with you today. In order to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, I've adopted this, what I call the 4 pillars of truth. I think people from the Air Force might recognize this. Borrowed it from the United States Air Force Academy. Don't cheat, don't steal, don't lie. But here's the big thing. When we're responding to questions, get down to the basics. These are 4 responses that you want to choose to be able to give. All right. 1 is a definitive yes. 2 is a definitive no. If somebody asks me, hey, do you want to come to the party with me tonight? Right? What do people do? They lie. Maybe, or maybe it's not a decision. Right? It's either a yes or it's a no at this moment in this slice of time. Yes or no. You want to go? You not want to go? You want to eat? You not want to eat? Right? So Don't be wishy-washy about it, no maybe. So I have a whole list of strike words. Probably, trying is lying, right? So you say, you're coming to the meeting tomorrow? They say, I'll try. So I say, I'll take that to be a no. If you can't make a choice, I'll make a choice for you. I'm not saving a spot for you. If you can't give me a commitment right now. You're going to marry me? Yes or no? I'm not going to wait 10 years for you to say yes, right? So, so to be definitive, it helps a person become less ambiguous and more focused. Yes and no. Which part of that don't you understand? So how come you don't respect me enough to give me a definite no? Because you're afraid that if you say no, I might like you less. You're afraid, so you lie. And no, it's not really a lie, it's just half a lie, right? I didn't say yes, I said maybe. So I'm off the hook. But I'm not going to, the chances of you showing up will be 0. The third piece is help me understand. All right? So if you haven't got enough information to arrive at yes or no, you ask for clarification. Help me understand, when is the meeting? Because right now, I don't know if I can come or not. If you tell me when, then I can definitely tell you, oops, I've got something scheduled, can't come, sorry, no. Or, okay, see you there. So it helps a person streamline into being a truth teller. And the fourth one is the most important one, is to talk about not saying sorry. It's a big deal. I spent a whole day on this workshop. Not saying sorry. Never apologize. Never apologize. It sounds harsh, doesn't it? But let me explain. All right. Most of the time, when you say, I am sorry, you really don't mean that you're sorry, number one. Liar, right? You know, that's the worst thing is 2 kids are fighting and they're all angry at each other and you say, go tell your brother you're sorry. Sorry. Does he mean it? It's just a futile exercise. So to say you're sorry, actually, everybody close your eyes and say, I'm sorry. Close your eyes and feel that energy in you when you say you're sorry. It doesn't feel joyous. Right? How many of you say sorry and it feels joyous? You're either liar or I don't know what you're smoking this morning.
I disagree. It's not supposed to feel joyous if you say you're sorry.
Okay, do you feel good saying you're sorry?
No.
No, so why say it? Don't do anything to yourself that you don't like. It's called self-betrayal. Now I'm going to give you I notice I'm about to start a controversial thing here. Because when you say you're sorry, when we say we're sorry, most of the time, I say most of the time, I'm not being absolute about this, we mean that we are honest about it, you own up to something, but there's a piece missing, and not taking responsibility. Say I'm sorry means is don't hold me accountable. Let me off the hook. I said I'm sorry. So let's say I borrow your new car. I crash it. I come back and I said, so sorry, I crashed your car. I didn't mean it. You know, as I was coming down the corner, this little old lady stepped up the curb with her poodle, and in order to not put the 2 of them flat on the street, I ran into the lamppost, and now your car is a pile of beautiful red metal wrapped around the lamppost. So sorry. Oh gosh, here are your keys back. See ya. I'm so sorry. Okay, it doesn't make me feel good because I feel like I have done you wrong and not done anything about it, and you are going to say, hey, wait a minute. You feel betrayed. You entrusted me with your car, and I returned to you keys and a pile of metal around the corner. And again, this is a whole day workshop I'm compressing. The bottom line is, there's a difference between being honest and having integrity. The difference being, integrity equals honesty plus responsibility. If I have integrity, I will come back and before I say I'm sorry, I say, look, And here's the phrase that's going to replace the word sorry because it empowers you. You say, I have no excuse. It really doesn't matter what the circumstance is. The bottom line is you have crashed her car. I have no excuse. I have crashed your car. Let me see what I can make up to you. I take responsibility. I give you all the cash I have right now, and I'll bring more cash to pay for your deductible. We'll call your insurance company, and I'm going to give you my car keys. It's coming out of the shop tomorrow. That's why I'm borrowing your car today. I'm going to give you my keys. I'm going to give you a credit card to the Shell station in the corner, and you will use my car if your insurance doesn't give you a rental until you get your car back. Now, I said, I'm so sorry for the inconvenience. Can you forgive me? So the blanket sorry is not a good word, but saying I have no excuse and I want to make things right. That empowers you. You don't have to feel like a sorry person, and it fixes things between you two, and the relationship survives. But if I keep saying I'm sorry, I'm late, and I'm consistently late, and I'm consistently very sorry, you're not going to feel very good about this relationship with me because it's disrespectful. I have no respect for your time. I make you wait half an hour for me all the time, and it's not good. Same thing, I don't make clients wait. I don't schedule people back to back because it's disrespectful to their time. And like I say, I would work through sessions with the client where we have pages and pages of strike words because now I am reprogramming their speech. When you reprogram your speech, you reprogram your mind and you reprogram your behavior. Because people who don't make money in their businesses because they're not clear what their business goals are. If you don't know what you want, it doesn't matter what you get. These 3 statements, my gift to you. When I'm working with my clients, when I can get them to own these 3 statements, they can do anything. I can, it means they are owning that they have the capacity and the ability to make change. Number 2, you have to have a desire. Just because I can doesn't mean I want to. Can I go there? Yeah. Do I want to? No. And so they have to understand the difference between capacity and desire. Do you want this to happen? Do you want to have a better marriage? Do you really, really want to have a better marriage with this man? If you do, what is one thing you're willing to give up because there's no free lunch? We have to trade. Okay? The third one is the most powerful. The ability to make a choice. It means that you have the power of option. Most people don't know that. You know, the number 1 regret when people are about to die is that people realize that they hadn't lived a life they would have chosen for themselves. And the worst regret is realizing they could have made a choice and they didn't. So people don't fear death. People fear not having lived. The difference between the word impossible, most people say it's impossible, I can't do this. Look at the word. I can change the word impossible to I am possible. So the words we use are very important. That's me walking on fire. I still have my feet. And when they say no, I say thank you very much. Actually, the word no means new options. You don't like this, let's see if we can figure out something else that you would like. It doesn't have to be that way. I recently worked with someone about food and dieting. I said, I don't do diets. And I'm sure if we look hard enough, we can find in this world, or just go to a supermarket, that there are enough foods in this store that you will find that you like to eat and is enjoyable and is good for you. You don't have to diet. So we have to look for new options. I'm going to leave you with the word listen. The most powerful piece, actually, when I teach the 5-day class, the first day is spent on listening. And I know all of you are trained to be good listeners. But if you look at the Chinese word for listen, listening involves your ears and your eyes and your heart. And they have all to be integrated. The word one is the horizontal line. Your eyes, your ears, and your heart have to be all involved in when we're listening. Right. This little red envelope is what we get as children during Chinese New Year. It's a time, it's called in Chinese a blessing. Lai xi means blessing. So when your children, when you say, when you pay respects to your aunts and your uncles and anybody older than you, they will bless you back with a red envelope, right? So instead of having to put money in it, I translate it to be a blessing of value, right? So today we talk about words. If you want to write a blessing in the card or write it in your on your business card, write it in the back and put it in there and give it to somebody in the room and share a blessing. I think that would be good. So that being said, you can do that. But right now I have time to take a few questions. Thank you very much for listening. Uh-huh.
Why do you say that the people have to give up something? Can it be negotiated that you don't have to give up something?
Well, you can't fill a teacup that's full. You can't fill a teacup that's full. You have to give up something for something. This is how the universe works. You can't be greedy. You steal from someone, the universe will make you pay, if not this lifetime, in another lifetime. What goes around comes around. That's my belief. Questions? Yes?
You say
Yeah,
it's
yes.
all about words,
Uh-huh.
but it really has to be their words, doesn't it?
Pardon?
It has to be their words.
No. Thank you for the question. No. No, because they don't have the words. I have to teach them. They have to own it eventually.
All right.
Yes.
That's right.
Because the thing that I feel most people who come to my office anyway, my experience, they may be very smart and very successful in whatever they do, but they are not articulate in their emotional health, and it is my job to teach them. I don't give it to them, I teach them. I sometimes make them do an exercise, 101 ways to show your wife you love her. Write down 101 ways you can express love without using the word love. That's challenging. Write down 101 ways to say you're angry without using the word anger or without rearranging somebody's face. So I think language is very important, and it doesn't matter what language you speak, but be proficient in at least one language. One language, and that is the language of love. And it may be in words, and it may be in deed, but it has to come from your heart. It's one thing I've learned watching an American airline, actually it was Continental Airline ground attendant years ago. I was stuck in San Diego, plane had mechanical problems, we waited, so people missed their connections, angry people. So this one man got up to the desk and he was just yelling at this woman. The delay of the flight has nothing to do with her, but she's the representative of the airline, so he was going, and he just barked at her. And this woman very patiently just let him go, and everybody around was very upset, just agitated by the discord. And the woman said, "Well, sir, are you quite finished? I have you know that you're screaming at the only person in this airport who can get you home. So if you're quite finished, may I help you?" And I think people were wanting to applaud. I was applauding her. Later, I went up to her when the lines were gone, and I said, "Ma'am, I just want you to know I've been watching and I want to tell you I appreciate you. All right, I'm going to close it. Thank you very much. Put something nice, give to somebody, be a good blessing. Thank you very much.